Hi, folks. In an effort to keep everyone updated about things that are going on, particularly as it relates to the Tucker Carlson situation, I want to do a video and present you some information that I have found. And it ranges anywhere from, hey, this might help explain things a little bit better, to, wow, this is really weird and I can't believe someone is actually reporting this. So hang on, I'm going to show you everything I've got so far, and we'll get into everything in just one moment. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative. Step on up to my electronic front porch and let's talk. Now, as I said, in an effort to try and keep everyone as well informed as I possibly can about developments that have happened since Monday's firing of Tucker Carlson, and yes, that is exactly what Fox News did. They fired him. There's no other way to call it anything other than that. Now, everyone's still asking the million-dollar question, why? What actually happened? Well, remember in my previous video, I said that Rupert Murdoch was suffering from an accumulation of aggravation when it came to Tucker Carlson. Well, let me play a clip for you you may not have heard yet, and when you hear it, it's going to begin to enlighten you about what I meant and further explain what it really means. And this comes from somebody who has intimate knowledge of Fox News. It's a former employee, Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly was on the Glenn Beck program yesterday, Tuesday, and he had an exchange with the host. Now, I want to play two different clips, and I think you'll begin to understand what I'm getting at. So take a listen to this.
Okay, so then tell me the story. What happened?
Well, the company itself is in turmoil, not because of the Dominion settlement. They can well afford the $800 million because of people like you and me, which made them countless dollars in the past. So they got a $4 million war chest.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me correct one thing. That's actually $4 billion, not trying to take anything away from what O'Reilly is saying, but yeah, according to news reports, Fox News Corp was sitting on a $4 billion cash in hand that they could pay the settlement to Dominion with. But we'll continue.
It was the future lawsuits that led to Mr. Carlson's demise. And he didn't even know it, by the way. He had no clue.
Okay, now I want to play one more clip, and this one's going to run just a little bit over a minute. But when you hear this, I think it's going to make a whole lot more sense about why the decision was made to fire Tucker Carlson. Take a listen to this.
Anyway, the reason that Rupert Murdoch made the decision was because his lawyers, Fox News lawyers, are saying, we got a lawsuit by this producer who came in and taped everything. So what does that tell you? It tells you she came in with an agenda, perhaps a plan. All right. Not unusual in these days. I'll tell you what, it's unbelievable what's happening in corporate America. But they have a lawsuit already filed in New York City. Apparently they have tapes that the lawyer for the woman says, we might put them out there. And those tapes do not make the Carlson broadcast look good. Number one. Number two, 60 Minutes Sunday night. Who's there? Ray Epps. Hey, Ray. Yep. Ray looking into the camera going, hey, Tucker Carlson ruined my life and the rest of my family.
It's a lawsuit.
What do you think is going to happen now, Beck?
Lawsuit.
You bet. You bet. Big one.
So, folks, a lot has been speculated about what actually happened, but it sounds like if what Bill O'Reilly is reporting is correct, and he did some old-fashioned shoe leather casework on Monday, trying to track this thing down, talked to some people, made some phone calls. It sounds like that there was an accumulation of aggravation on the part of Rupert Murdoch. The Dominion lawsuit, okay, it's bad, but we've got the cash to get through it. That's fine. But how many more lawsuits do you want to have to settle if you're Rupert Murdoch and the board of directors of Fox News and the shareholders, because you got to know they're getting antsy about all this when they're seeing all that money flying out the door? It's an accumulation of aggravation. Like I said, the Dominion suit, they could get through that. But they had no idea how much they were going to have to pay out to this former producer, Abby Grossberg, excuse me. And they didn't have any idea how much Ray Epps might wind up suing them for and have to pay out. So yeah, they were getting scared to death, and particularly Rupert. He's getting advice from his lawyers, he's getting advice from the board, and finally he just pulled the trigger and said, we're doing this. Now, what else do we know about what may have led to the firing? Well, let me show you an article real quick. This is kind of interesting. This one came out yesterday or late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. Take a look at this. Tucker Carlson News Live. Axed Fox star calls enemies hysterical in rambling first response to firing. And we read this article written by Alex Woodward, Greg Garazzi, and Namita Singh. Tucker Carlson has broken his silence over firing by Fox News in a video posted directly onto his Twitter account in a rambling, conspiracy-driven monologue. That is a real stretch, guys. He suggests he was the victim of efforts to suppress discussions of big topics, the ones that will determine our futures, but does not address the reasons for his exit directly. Now, what they are reporting is accurate. I took a look at it before I came on to record this video, and I'm not excluding it because I don't think he has something to say, but he's not addressing anything directly related to the dismissal, which is probably wise at this point because there's still a lot of legal issues to work out. We'll get to that momentarily. And if you want to take a look at it, it's on Tucker Carlson's Twitter page. I would recommend you go there. It's about a little over 2, maybe 3 minutes long. But we'll continue with the article. Earlier, lawyers for Fox News reportedly persuaded a Delaware court to redact legal filings that showed Carlson calling a senior executive at the network the C word as Fox prepared for a defamation trial over Dominion Voting Systems' blockbuster lawsuit last week, according to the Wall Street Journal. We read a little further. The messages are among hundreds of emails and texts from the case, which also revealed Carlson ridiculing guests and colleagues on the network and saying that he hates Donald Trump, quote, passionately, while bolstering the former president on his most watched program. Carlson's surprise exit, no, it wasn't an exit, it was a firing, from the network also follow a lawsuit by Abby Grossberg, a former producer on Tucker Carlson Tonight, whose complaint alleges Grossberg and other women were routinely undermined and verbally violated, quote, by poisonous and entrenched patriarchy. Rolling Stone also reported Fox News and its communications department kept a dossier of damaging information on Carlson. Okay. Remember how I said we found information that was informative to explain why, and then we also found information that was weird? Well, take a look at this. This is from Rolling Stone magazine, and this one, when I read it, it kind of just blew my mind. Headline, Fox has a secret Oppo file to keep Tucker Carlson in check, sources say. 8 sources tell Rolling Stone that the network's top brass have been stockpiling information on the departing primetime host. In an article written by Diana Falzone and Aswan Subseg, forgive me if I mispronounce that, we read, Fox executives have in their possession a dossier of alleged dirt on Tucker Carlson should he attack the network in the wake of his departure, 8 sources at and close to the network tell Rolling Stone. When Fox announced Carlson's departure on Monday, the network presented the separation as amicable, but according to one former on-air personality, the anchor and some of the channel's top executives are parting ways on, quote, the worst and messiest possible terms. Indeed, in private communications released last month as part of the Dominion Fox lawsuit, the now-fired Fox host gossiped that one such exec, quote, hates us, claiming she was covertly working against him and other hosts. But if Carlson attempts to torch the network he's leaving, Fox is prepared, the sources say. 8 people familiar with the situation tell Rolling Stone that Fox News and its communications department, long led by the notoriously aggressive Irina Briganti, has assembled damaging info about Carlson. One source with knowledge calls it an Oppo file. 2 sources add that Fox is prepared to disclose some of its contents if executives suspect that Carlson is coming after the network. Now, I want to make a few comments about this supposed Oppo file on Tucker. This is one of those moments where I don't know who's telling the truth. All right, Rolling Stone says they have 8 different sources to back up their reporting. Yeah, and we also at one point had 51 different sources who said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Numbers who say the same thing don't necessarily make something the truth. That said, however, could I conceivably see a network like Fox or CNN or MSNBC or any of the major 3 networks doing something like this, keeping information on their people? Yeah, theoretically, it's possible. I mean, HR departments have to document stuff about their employees anyway. So if you have situations where people have reported incidents that they feel where their rights or their feelings are being hurt, stuff that could become an HR issue, yeah, you got to hold that information in somebody's file. Now, whether you'd call it an opposition file, it's a little bit extreme in the description. But yeah, I could see people reporting things about Tucker and somebody keeping it in a file somewhere, if for nothing else, for HR purposes. Now, do I think they would ever use it against him? No, not really. Because it's kind of a situation of mutually assured destruction. You go after Tucker Carlson, he's going to come after you. Somebody's going to bleed blood, and the only question is who's going to bleed the most and how much are they going to pay out to stop the bleeding. So, I don't know. I don't quite know what to make of it, but you know what? It's being reported. It's out there. I'll bring it to you. You make your own decisions. Now, going back to the questions about legal, there is one other piece of news I find interesting. Tucker's hired himself a lawyer. Take a look at this. From the New York Times, Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon hire a top Hollywood lawyer. Brian Friedman has a track record of getting multi-million-dollar settlements for TV stars and has represented celebrities like Quentin Tarantino, Julia Roberts, and Seth Rogen. Author of this article is Katie Robertson, and we read the following. Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon, freshly ousted from their perches at top cable networks, have hired the same powerhouse lawyer to navigate their exits. The prominent Hollywood lawyer, Brian Friedman, has a track record of getting multi-million-dollar settlements for TV stars and other celebrities. He represents Chris Cuomo, the former CNN anchor who's seeking $125 million for wrongful termination after the network fired him in 2021 and secured a payout of Megyn Kelly's full contract when she left NBC. Friedman declined to comment on the story. Now, why would Tucker Carlson hire a lawyer? Well, there is one consideration that everybody is still trying to figure out. There has been a lot of speculation about where Tucker might go after all this. Does he start his own podcast? Does he go to a social media platform like a Rumble or an Odysee? Does he go to work for another cable news network? Well, before he decides where he's got to go, he's got to settle whatever remaining legal issues are still out there because of his contract with Fox. Now, and again, we don't know the contents of the contract. Is there a non-compete clause? Does Fox have the right to basically pay him for basically sitting around doing nothing in order to keep him from competing against them? We don't know all this. So the hiring of a lawyer makes a lot of sense. And it may very well be that Tucker wants to get the legal issues behind him so he can make the next move. Who knows? But I think it's relevant. It needs to be talked about. And yeah, it's out there. So this is all for you. Take the information, do with it as you will. So that's the video. As we start to wrap this up, please do me some favors as always. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, please do so. Number 2, hit the bell for notifications. I want to make sure you're always aware when a new video comes out. Number 3, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please do so. And number 4, please give me a thumbs up. You really would be helping me out as I'm a new content creator. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your Front Porch Conservative, and I'll see you next time.